darkest hour, we feel the way is darkest before dawn. Don't lose your faith.
In the depths of night, when despair seems to reign, the heart must hold fast, for it is always darkest before the dawn. Those who endure this shadowed hour shall be the first to witness the glorious sunrise, revealing the hope that was hidden in the darkness. Let not your spirit waver, for the light is but a heartbeat away. Ascetius of Anoxes, Scroll of Resilience, 728 years before the current era.
The carriage came to a stop in front of the grand entrance. Zeke climbed down and helped Kadarin out of the vehicle. The carriage driver quickly pulled away, making room for the next carriage to glide up beside the impressive double stairway that led to the entrance. Zeke tucked Kadarin's arm under his as they began their ascent up the 3 flights of stairs. He felt a sense of relief wash over him, easing the pressure of keeping the collective souls of Estolia. Through their connection, he sensed that Kadarin felt it too. Their bond would never mirror the one-sided relationships of typical Estolians. Instead, theirs carried an added dimension, shaped by deity, a recompense for the sacrifices made during more than 30 years of shouldering Estolia's burdens. While they would continue to keep each other's souls, Zeke's responsibilities were now focused on the woman beside him, his role as one of the king's counselors, and his new project. In the ballroom, they joined the growing crowd of guests arriving for what promised to be a festive night.
Kenzie is stronger than I ever was,
Kadarin observed. Zeke looked over at Kenzie. Next to Nico's purple, green, and gold robes, the red of her outfit and the rainbow of her hair looked completely natural.
I think she is the strength Nico needs, just as you were what I needed.
She leaned against him, sighing happily, her gaze shifting from Kenzie to Max, who was asking Lyre to dance.
He has more self-control than most young men.
Zeke followed her gaze.
Max feels things deeply, including his responsibilities. He has been at war with the Luke Dumain side of his family for the last decade. They would have him leave Estolia permanently and renounce the faith. At last, he has realized he belongs here, and he is determined to do everything in his power to be worthy of the blessings bestowed upon him.
His brother Eduardo did not have that struggle,
she pointed out.
True, but for Eduardo, there was never a reason to choose a different pathway. He was always single-minded in his vision of the future. He knew he would remain in Estolia until his younger brother found his own center, and then he would move to Paris. Eduardo will take over Max's role on the board of directors for Dumain International. They will be an important ally in Zeb's future endeavors.
Kadarin shivered.
When you mention Zeb, I am overwhelmed with sadness. Earth's nations are determined to continue blithely down the pathway of destruction. It seems like there's no hope left in the world, that Zeb is too late to save the planet.
Zeke put his hands on her shoulders, squeezing them. His eyes met hers.
Deity will not let Estolia fall, not while we keep the promise of Zacharias. We have more guarantees than most. We, as a nation, are doing what we can to counteract the greed of those who would put their profits over the well-being of their own progeny. It is this most desperate need that Zeb will be instrumental in filling. He will be a catalyst of change, Kadarin, as he helps to transform the hearts and minds of the citizens of our planet. He will bring about the necessary change to save our planet from self-destruction.
Who said it's always darkest before the dawn?
She asked, shivering at the dark happenings in the world. She frowned and looked up at her husband.
Why do I suddenly feel so much fear?
Her voice trembled on the last word. He pulled her close. None of his predecessors had ever mentioned that being the keeper came with a profound sense of purpose, underlined by a sense of right, nourished clearly by the spirit. Now that he and Kadarin were no longer directly responsible for the soul of Estolia, they also lost the comforting cloak of sureness bestowed by deity. They would need to adjust to standing on their own.
Perhaps another sacrifice we did not realize we were making today is the loss of the direct, day-to-day guidance we once had. We must cling to our deep faith, the same faith that sustained me while I was the keeper, and maintain it, regardless of the external challenges we will face.
She sighed, then looked up at him with a weak smile.
I feel most acutely that those who are asked to make the biggest sacrifices are often given the greatest blessings. You are my biggest blessing, Ezekiel.
In the depths of darkness, we find our light.
Max marveled at the energy of Liar's aura. He knew some men were gifted only a few seconds with it, others never saw it, but instead were given a steady sense of a union being right. He was not sure why he was given nearly 18 days of her beautiful aura, but on this night it was positively scintillating. He never thought he would be one so gifted. He had always anticipated that, when the time was right, he would settle on a young Estolian woman, and they would quietly create the expected fusion of souls. Instead, he was given a priceless gift that he would never take for granted. Every day since the flight back to Estolia, he wrote in his inscrito, describing Liar's aura, her personality, her effect on him. When his words dried up, he would look back on his acolyte writing assignments, quoting some of what he had written in his inscrito during that year. It would be interesting to comment on everything that turned out exactly as he expected, and on those things that were totally different. What he wrote during his acolyte year were a strange mixture of inspired insight and naivete. He never once understood how it felt to have the effervescent resonance of Liar's aura percolating through the cells of his body. In his youth, he described it as merely visual, but the aura was a physical, viable presence. He remembered a day when he was assigned to read more than 24 accounts of seeing the aura.
Why are there so many accounts of the aura?
Elder Ibarra asked the acolytes. After almost 20 minutes of discussion, he prompted,
What one thing do you notice above all other things in this account?
Nico had been an acolyte with him, and he was the one who responded.
They are all different.
In what way are they different, Max?
Different colors, different effects. It is as if the aura cannot be described in only one way.
Why?
Elder Ibarra was relentless in pushing his acolytes to do the thinking, rather than simply telling them how things were.
I get it,
Nico said.
The aura is as unique as the woman. As no two women are identical, so too are their auras.
What about identical twins?
Max had asked. Elder Ibarra was a master at reining in off-topic discussions.
Are there any identical twins mentioned in the capítulos? In the ensayos?
He asked the class in return. Benzerik said hesitantly,
I thought Kytheros.
He broke off. Nico inserted,
Yes, there is something about Kytheros.
We will explore that concept in the future, but you might wish to research it on your own. Nico is right. Each aura is unique, which leads us to your assignment. Take what you have learned and use it to project what you believe your Kaylee will look like, both outside and inside. Describe her physically and spiritually. Do not neglect her aura. Even if you are not one of the sons of Zacharias, who is gifted with the aura, she still has one. And I believe that we will, in Torizon, recognize the woman we have spent our lives loving by the luminescent glow of her aura.
Max now knew it was true. Nothing else could explain the way that Liar's aura scintillated, glowed and pulsed in time to his heart and to the subtle rhythms of the universe.
When the road is rough and dreams seem far, remember the promise hidden in the stars. For those who endure, the blessings come, a glorious day, and we'll sing as one.